Avatar. Hmm. So the Avatar I'm referring to is the Airbender series, Korra series, Wan series, if you know what I'm talking about. There's a game coming out. I can't remember which game. It's a lot of martial arts in it, and it's kind of like an open world game. And I think maybe it's not like MMO, but I think you can interact with people in the world, but it's like kind of limited to mostly a server. I don't know. I'm sorry to bring that up. We did get a Legend of Korra game, which was like, this is not what we were talking about. It's kind of like with Pokemon. Like, okay, with Pokemon, we were introduced to the idea of what a Pokemon game would be before we even had a concept of what we would like one to be. And there are a couple games like, or games slash franchises like that. Um, Pokemon's one of them. Um, but Korra, Legend of Korra, all you did, you played as, well, first of all, we don't want to play, like, we like Korra, we really like Aang. I mean, I think, even as big a fan of someone of Aang as many people are, I'm a fan of Aang. I don't know if I'm, like, a big, I'm not against him, I really like him, but, I'm just saying, like, to play a game specifically as his story and to go throughout that, it's kind of like the Naruto games. Like, you're playing, I think you swap out characters sometimes for a lot of fighting sequences and things like that. But with some of the Naruto games, you play specifically as Naruto, and that's not what you want. I mean, you want to play as yourself. Um, there are games like Sonic games where I think you do want to play as Sonic. You want to play an experience that Sonic would have. And Sega's whole problem isn't Sonic, himself or his adventures. Really, it's the gameplay and things like that, which is like, oh, you didn't get the gameplay right when it came to a game. Okay, okay. Um, and then you made Sonic Boom, which I still watch, but I'm like barely watching. Like, it's just good enough that I don't know if it needs to be longer. I don't know if they just need to do more things. Like, I feel like they should just go on more adventures than they do anything else, and that would be kind of better for them to do versus what they're doing now, which is like, it's like they're hanging out and sometimes there's a problem that someone has and they're kind of solving it. Kind of like they're Scooby Doo's Mystery Gang, but they're nowhere near doing what Scooby Doo and the links that they go to, and it's really like limited in the scope of where they go and who they meet, and how big the problem is, and the limitations of what they'll do to solve it. Anyways, going back to Avatar series, um, because really I'm trying to talk about what I think we want or I want from an Avatar series. Not to say that they're both the same, we and I, but um, well, as far as the game goes, we need to either be the Avatar and we could solve different problems. I wouldn't mind just being one like nation, just Airbender or Firebender, or you can even play as, like, you could be the nation. This is too much. This is too much right here. So what I'm talking about, they're never. See, the more I talk about it, the more you get into it. Like, you go from little web browser game to full fledged game with reason to play with something that's extra. See, they're never gonna do anything like that because they just don't like to do stuff like that. It doesn't make any sense. Why create a game that millions of people would buy? That's crazy talk. Anyways, but you play as you could be like Fire Nation, but you don't have bending. Maybe you could have weapons. Maybe you just kind of interact in a world of the Avatar series, and that's, you know, I think anyone wants kind of an MMO, right? MMO, open world at very least. I'm not against like MMO. I say MMO when I say MMO, I'm just kind of meaning like open world, and then well, yeah, there's other players, but I'm not sure to what extent. Because after that, after you say MMO, you have to say what kind of rules that you want. Um, a lot of MMOs don't do this, which I would kind of wish they would. Like, you create bases and people could operate in those bases and have kind of roles, or you could, everyone just doing individual things and grouping up sometimes to do quests, and you could have guilds and you can have raids. I mean, there's a lot of, maybe I'm misinformed what these titled the genres or whatever they are, but you understand the concepts I'm saying, whether or not I'm getting the words right is, focus on that versus anything else. Um, but straight out, this is what I would say. I would say Avatar series or Avatar universe game. Again, you play as a bender, you play as a non-bender, play as one of the four nations, or play as the Avatar. Um, but if you're playing as the Avatar, um, probably is best. Yeah, okay. I got it now. If you're playing as the Avatar, then one open world game, I want to be able to do quests. I want to be able to really full fledged combat. I'm not sure how it should be done. I would kind of like to see the Nintendo Switch's Joy Cons being used there, or even, well, not virtual reality. Virtual reality really isn't there yet. I think for a martial arts combat, and I think maybe next generation we could see that, but not yet. If Sony had invested more in the motion control instead of acting like they care but they don't, like it's just like the virtual reality scene. They have a lot of motion control sticks and things, and it's like you act like you don't care, but here you are investing in virtual reality, and who knew that you'd actually use motion controls for this? Like they're just using the motion controls because they already have them, but they I don't know. I just feel like companies, they act like motion controls aren't legitimate. They are very much a great function of gaming, and I think more time and effort should be put into them, like Nintendo does with them. I mean, Nintendo's motion controls, they have gyroscope, which is like a kind of a spatial awareness. It's like all 360 directions, and you rotate around like kind of a imaginary circle, and has tilt control and different motion reflexes that appear in the game in certain ways. Like I don't know, I'll try. I'm always getting off track. Um, in the background, some grass. Well, some trees, or whatever. But if you played as one of the four nations, then I think I'd want everyone's playing on like a big giant server or whatever, and they have you're one of the four nations, and I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't want there to be war between the four nations, but if there was, I guess you could. And every time you go to Fire Nation territory, maybe you need to accomplish something here. It's not a straight out war. Like you're not necessarily a participant in the war. You could be, but you just happen to be in Fire Nation territory, and there's certain quests, things you gotta do, whatever. And if any firebenders see you with Fire Nation stuff, it's kind of like the Assassin's franchise. It could be like, as soon as you airbend, they know you're an airbender, they start attacking you. Like the village knows who you are, they're looking out for an airbender, they're looking out for, there's pursuit, stuff like that. That'd be great. Um, the only problem with any kind of Avatar game at this point would be it would be so broken because now they have magma bending. Well, excuse me. All right, I'm gonna say some spoilers. Well, they not I don't know. They're information that only happens in the series, and you think that this was a thing before now. I think people are really rude when it comes to their online titles of the videos. They're like something something so and so. I just told you what was gonna happen in the video in the this episode. Like, what's wrong with you? Just say this episode's reaction or something. But all right. So spoiler. Magma bending. They have flying. Flying. You can fly as an airbender. I mean, you can kind of fly as a firebender. But flying is too much. No, it's like a jetpack, if anything, and a really crude one. Um, Flying. I mean, it's not the case really. Um, so flying, I mean, magma bending. Trying to think. Well, lightning. Lightning bending. Honestly, sometimes the waterbenders seem the most like not as powerful. Like at this point, I'm not sure if they seem as. You could say, since most of the Earth or the world of the Avatar, that they do have the terrain to kind of use waterbending anywhere and also apply it. But I think as more and more technology progresses, I think airbenders are really gonna see their stuff prevail versus like fire or earthbenders. Because they're only so limited. Their attacks used to mean I think a lot more. I'm not sure. Like I was trying to think about that, especially in Legend of Korra series where she's using. Well, a lot of them are using the benders attacks against the chi blockers and or their mecha suits and things, and it's like once you get down to it, once you start investing in technology for the non-benders, like there's a point where it's harder to be like a bender and succeed against all this. Although at the same time, they're taking basically like tanks, and there's only like let's say even 100 of them, but there's like 1,000 benders, and let's say they're all in like one high-pitched battle. Like it's Oh, metal bending. Metal bending is another broken thing. Um, and you can say, oh, I think it was platinum in Legend of Korra series that the suits were made out of, the big iron suits. But it's like platinum is crazy expensive. Like that's gold and silver, I think, combined. And I think even in the Avatar series, like I think gold was a currency. Well, not a current. Well, like it weighed and mounted to something. Um, so it's really expensive to fight at that level. Let's say the suits get messed up, destroyed. I mean, you lose your suits. Like you gotta assume that you. I mean, they had to attack with the element of surprise. Like there was no official contest of battles between, and there's people who would support benders and not really see them as like, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. And what kind of timeline would the Avatar game series take place? Like we talking one series where it's like basic of humanity. Honestly, there are as many avatars as there are. There's probably like at least 50 generations of Avatar, and that's let's say 20 years per Avatar, so 50 times 20. 5 times 2 is 10, so 5 times. I mean, 50 times 20 is 100, 1,000. I'm sorry, I'm stupid. Um, 50 times 20. 1,000? That doesn't sound right. 500. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I'm slow. But if it's 5 times 2, that should be. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Um, so it's not that I'm so bad with math. If I can't put it on paper, I just can't see it. Um, but anyways, what is it? With some things I can, but I have to hold it within my head for like it's a whole process with me. Um, so another thing would be we need romance options. Look, there is no Avatar series without romance and drama. We need teams. We need I guess this is turned into an Avatar game series and what we'd want from that. I'll try to make another video about Avatar series and what I thought on Korra and Aang and the differences between them and kind of the avatars in general and things like that. Um, and a little, the shipping and stuff. Or maybe I'll do a separate video for that. I'm not sure. Um, Avatar. Honestly, I wonder about the airbenders. Like the bloodbenders, they can bend blood, but could the airbenders take the air out of someone, like just, or just push the air out of the room, or it's just like to what extent can we do certain things. Another thing is that the Avatar, series, like when compared to Legend of Korra compared to Airbender, it was like Toph, Katara, Aang. I mean, there's some of the best benders, Zuko, Zula, but it seems like in Korra series, and I don't think this just applies to, or maybe it does. It's just maybe it was just a very crazy coincidence that she happened to meet and be a part of some of the strongest benders in the world, but they just seem to be like really strong for like no particular reason. Like Zuko's like Prince of the Fire Nation, later become Fire Lord. But like Mako, for instance, I don't think Mako would do too badly against Zuko. Like Zuko is like an A and Mako is like a B. Because I've seen him firebend, he's pretty good. I won't say he's the best or anything. I think he could do a little better, but he can lightning bend, which is another thing. Mako is a really solid bender too. Um, spoiler, and later he can lava bend. It's very unique. Um, what I kind of liked, or I don't know, liked is maybe not the word, but he got exposed to lava bending and then was like, okay, now I can lava bend. Like kind of that exposure, that kind of energy that's required to lava bend. Maybe could get him to lava bend. And I kind of like that because I'm like, now he's been introduced to it. Now he can kind of do it. It's kind of like Star Wars, where you experience the Force, and it's easier for you to. It's easier for you to um, act out the Force because you've been exposed to that. I'm not sure about the Force Awakens. I have so many problems with the Force Awakens, but at the very least, like once you're exposed to a kind of bending, it's a lot easier to do it. Like when Katara was blood bended, she was kind of introduced sort of like an orientation on what blood bending is and how to do it, very briefly, but she never like the complete exposure of how, or the complete training of how, excuse me, because later in the Legend of Korra series, you got two sons who were actually taught how to do bending for like let's say a year. It felt like a year's time at least that they were doing that, and they really mastered it. Um, so yeah, so another example might be mm, maybe Toph's, like she her her ability to sense led to the her metal bending ability, and then kind of understanding of how to pass that on. So it must be crazy to be a metal bender and you can't metal bend, and or is it? I don't know if it's genetic, if it can be passed down like that, because it feels like it probably is, because the metal bending really is really consistent in the city that Toph's family built, or part of Toph's family built, And so I guess if you're an earthbender, I kind of wonder what you do instead of metal bending. But all right, see ya.